I just told you about marriage encounter last time, and how the whole emphasis there was on seeing God as our Father, a God of love who loves us unconditionally. And over and over and over again, I hear God referenced as being love. God is love. Well, it's a little hard to relate to that. If you think of it in intellectual terms, love is not an intellectual term. It just isn't. It's an emotional term. I remember on our Marriage Encounter weekend they said love is a decision. It's what we can decide to love at any time. And when we make that decision to love, regardless of what we might think somebody's done to us, regardless of what's happened, if we make that decision to love, the consequences to us are really, really fantastic. And so what I'd like to do is to talk a little bit about my experience with trying to gain some understanding of the concept of God as love. Let me start out with a walk I was taking the other day with JJ. We were walking down the road as usual, and she was striding ahead of me, busy sniffing and checking out the latest smells. And I looked down at her, and all of a sudden I just got this overwhelming feeling of warmth, of caring, of love for her. You can't use a word to define the word, but I don't know what else to use. It just came over me. It was so warm and all-encompassing, and everything else was out of focus, and all I could see and was her and this tremendously strong feeling I had inside of me for her. And I got to thinking later on that this wonderful feeling I had, which I definitely have for her because I truly love this little dog. I've had the same feeling many times in my life. I can remember walking in and seeing Eileen sleeping, because many times she'll go to bed before I do, and seeing her curled up there, and seeing her and just having that tremendous feeling of love for her. Or watching my kids. I can remember my oldest son, Jim, sitting at the bar in our little bungalow house on Hay Street, and struggling with a problem, and really trying to do it himself, to find a way to get it done. And I can remember looking at him, and the part of me wanted to step in and help him do it, but another part of me stood back and watched him with just tremendous love, because his struggles and everything showed me what kind of person he was. He wasn't going to give up. He was determined to solve that problem himself. It was just a wonderful feeling. I've had that feeling so many times in my life. Walking down the path here and seeing the green all around me, and the hawk flying in the air, and the breeze blowing through the trees. I mean, it just overcomes me, this feeling of love, this feeling of warmth, of just being at peace, of not understanding any other way to live your life. And so as I think of all these times when I've had this wonderful feeling, then I think of God is love. Well, I wonder, does God look down at me and everybody else in this world and everything else that He's created? And He has that same warmth and love and caring? I think He does. And you might say, well, then how come we have hurricanes and people die, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You know, you can always bring out some crepe and hang it around. Well, you know, just because you love somebody doesn't mean that they don't have to live their life. I mean, they do. I was talking with a friend of mine last night and about parenting, you know. If you do everything for your kids, you know, they're going to grow up expecting everybody to do everything for them. And they won't become adults. They won't grow up to become self-sufficient, responsible adults. You have to let them go out and make mistakes and hurt and try, and all, just like my son struggling with his problem. You have to let them try to do it themselves. You have to give them the opportunity to succeed on their own. You know, and love them even if they don't. Love them even if they fail, and tell them it's okay. You're okay. You will know how to do it when. One of my favorite sayings is, "The more I know, the more I don't know. The more I know I don't know, the more I know I will know when the time is right to know." And that's a message I try to give my kids. You will know. You're okay. I'm okay, you're okay. Remember the old transactional analysis? And so, to me, that whole story is the story of God and God's love for us. The fact that we have to struggle from time to time, the fact that we have to hurt from time to time, doesn't mean He doesn't love us. Doesn't mean that He's angry at us. You know, I read the Old Testament every day, and it's just so filled with fear of God and God's anger with us. And I'm so glad Jesus came along to carry this message of love and Father's love for us. You know, we really needed it because it's hard. It's hard to love somebody that you're afraid of all the time. You know, respect, yes. Love, yes. Fear, no. And so, when I hear God is love, what I think of is that warm, compassionate, caring feeling that lets us grow, gives us the tools to use, gives us the means to use, the direction to use, but lets us do it ourselves. He loves us enough to let us do it ourselves, to hurt, and through hurting, to grow. And to grow closer to Him over time. That is love. I love you, God, and I thank you for the gift of life today. Amen. Thanks, folks. See you later. Bye.